All right. Hello and good morning or afternoon, wherever you may be. My name is Matthew DeGeeter, and I am the Senior Vice President of Strategic Enterprises at the American Society of Interior Designers. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, our ASID Member Benefit Spotlight, featuring the Retirement Plan Program of Retirement Planning Made Simple. So this webinar is for current individual members, organizational partners, and potential new members considering joining ASID. During today's webinar, we will highlight the ASID Member Retirement Plan Program, and in the next 20 minutes, we will explore the member benefit, learn how to sign up, and get your questions answered. So as attendees, your audio is muted and the attendee chat is disabled, so please use the Q&A button on your toolbar to submit questions at any time. We will respond to your questions actually throughout the webinar in a little bit of a special format today. So I will be your moderator, and I am joined by Brandon Oliver, Managing Partner at Arcwood Financial. And also, Arcwood Financial is our program partner for the ASID Member Retirement Plan. And we also have Peter Rowe, President and CEO of Arcwood Benefits Consulting. Welcome, Peter and Brandon. So Brandon's going to kick us off with how to get your money to start working for you. Peter's actually going to help with a little bit of Q&A throughout the slides as well. We're going to anticipate some questions from the audience and hopefully get you some insight pretty quickly. And hopefully that inspires you to give us submit a few questions as well. So hello, Peter. Hello, Brandon. And I think, Brandon, over to you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me today. Just like Matt said, we're really going to hit the high notes of getting your money working for you versus you working for your money. The main things I'm going to cover today are just focusing on kind of contributions, but also how and why to save. We're going to start with just contribution limits in 401ks, which is probably the main reason anyone would be considering other options for saving for their retirement. So that's our next slide, actually, and I'm going to jump right into it. So 401ks or solo 401ks, which both are offered through the retirement program, offer considerably higher contribution limits than any other retirement plan out there. And most likely, if you're coming to us today, it's probably because you've heard something along these lines. And I want to start with what they are. So solo 401ks and 401ks for participants or business owners offer significantly higher contribution limits, like I said, than any other program out there. And they're based on age, actually, because we have something called catch-up contributions. But really what you'll see is the annual tax-deductible contribution you can make into a 401k bucket can be anywhere between $72,000 per year in upwards of over $83,000. And the reason these are so high and are probably higher than maybe the program you're in now or other options you've looked at is as someone offering a 401k, even if you're a sole practitioner or if you're a business owner, you're generally wearing two hats. You're the business owner as well, the employer, but you're also an employee there. And 401ks offer contribution options for both people. They offer contribution for owners, which can be 25% of your taxable wages up to those caps of 72,000 to over 83,000. But they also offer you the ability as an employee as well to make employee deferrals. And those are capped at 24,500. And then we have catch-up contributions for people over 50 or possibly new super catch-up contributions for people who are 60 to age 63. And all of these together are what make it possible for anyone who has a 401k to make significant tax-deductible contributions every single year into a 401k.
Hey, Brandon, can you spend a second and kind of outline the contribution strategies? Are they locked into making monthly contributions? Can they start and stop? Can they make a single lump sum? Things like that?
Yeah, 401ks, at least when we're talking about an individual participant, right, are very flexible. You can increase or decrease your contributions at any point. Let's say by a dollar amount, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, or as a percentage of your compensation, maybe somewhere between 5 and 10%. And let's say Christmas comes around and you're a little thin in December because you're spending so much of your discretionary income on kids or grandkids or friends, you could drop that to zero or stop making contributions. Absolutely. With 401ks, you can also do lump sum contributions. You can do that during the year as part of your employee deferral, which is capped at 24,500, or employer contributions, which is nice, much like an IRA or a SEP IRA that a lot of people are used to. You can make a lump sum contribution all the way up till your tax filing extension with these. So yeah, totally flexible. Start, stop, increase, decrease, completely up to you.
Thank you.
So I alluded to something else in there, comparing 401ks to SEP IRAs. And I think that'd be a good time to actually go to the next slide. Because what we see is the majority of sole practitioners out there or small business owners, be them just themselves or maybe themselves and a spouse, are using something called a SEP IRA. Now, SEP IRAs have considerably higher contribution limits than a traditional IRA. Traditional IRA is around $8,000 a year. Usually, if you want a bigger contribution, you need to save more of your income to help supplement retirement, or you need a larger tax deduction. Most people's CPA or maybe their financial advisor will recommend a SEP IRA just because the limits are much higher. They're almost as high as the 401k before you start to look into the catch-up options that are available for people over age 50. But the main difference here, and the reason we think solo 401ks are vastly superior to a SEP IRA as well, is how they're calculated. SEP IRAs, unlike the last example where I said you, as somebody operating this retirement plan, are both the employee and the employer and can make both contributions, SEP IRAs only allow for the employer contribution. And it's capped the same way at 25% of your wages. Even though it has the same cap, it only has that one source. So what we're looking at now, this is an example. I have somebody who's 51 years old and makes $100,000 a year. I'm going to skip down to that line that says employee deferral. If they had a solo 401k, they could put in that employee contribution of 24,500. Now, for the next line, with a solo 401k, they can do 25% of their wages. The SEP IRA only allows for that 25% of their wages, right? $25,000. They don't get that additional 24,500 as the employee deferral. Also, on the solo 401k column, we have catch-up contributions available over $8,000. SEP IRAs don't have catch-up contributions. So in our example here, with somebody making $100,000 a year, in a solo 401k, they can get a tax deduction of $57,500. If they had the SEP IRA, which is actually what most people are using, they could only get a deduction of $25,000. Two other things to point out why solo 401ks might be better for an individual are they have Roth options, right? A lot of people have heard about Roth over the last decade. A lot more people are using it as their main saving source, considering that we're in lower effective tax brackets right now. Solo Ks have that. SEP IRAs don't have that option. And then additionally, some solo 401k programs also offer loan options. Now, I will say, again, a SEP IRA is definitely better than an IRA if you want higher tax deductions. But if you're looking to save more than a SEP IRA is allowing you currently, or you've looked at it and the calculations don't look like what you would like to get, a solo 401k is going to be a much better option just because you can save so much more.
So, Brandon, as a small business owner, there's two different types of income that I have. So if I'm an employee, then I'm also getting a W-2. But if I'm an owner, I'm typically getting distributions and K-1s and things like that. What type of income is eligible for both the SEP and the solo K?
You can use either source. They're just calculated on those caps slightly differently. When we're looking at W-2 income for that employer contribution, that's usually when we consider the 25%. The safer rule of thumb is if you're just taking distributions or K1s or anything like that for the solo K or the SEP, we usually recommend you do your calculations that it's just 20% of that number. Technically, it's something in between, but it's kind of something you need your CPA to help out with. Anyone can just do 20%, and that makes it a lot easier.
Great. Thank you.
Right. Do you have another question on the slide, or you want to move on to the next one?
No, we can move on. I did have a question pop up about Roth, but you did cover the differences between Roth. Didn't you? Oh, or did you want to expand on Roth?
Yeah, sure. So if the question is, does this program, specifically the one we're offering through the member retirement program, offer Roth options? We absolutely do. You can do your employee deferrals. That's at 24,500. You can do that as a Roth, meaning you pay taxes in the current year as if you took those monies instead of setting them aside. Those monies will grow tax deferred, and when you pull them out in retirement, they will also be tax free. The employer contribution technically is usually has to be deductible, but if you really like Roth and you want to figure out a way to get $80,000 into a Roth bucket within a solo 401k, we do have options for you. It's just a slightly different plan design that involves a TPA, but people can do that. It's called the Super Backdoor Roth 401k. You've probably heard about super backdoor contributions. We have them in 401ks too, and they're very powerful, much better so than anyone who's out there maybe looking at like life insurance as a super Roth. No, you have access. Get a solo K and do backdoor contributions.
And so probably the summary there is pay attention to the link to contact us to have a one-on-one conversation about that.
Yeah, that one's a little bit more, that one's a little bit more in depth, but if people are looking for to get 24,500 into Roth or even more, we can certainly do that for them.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, let's jump to the next slide. All right, so why are we here, right? We talked about the tax structure or the vehicles that are available for people wanting to save for retirement, who want to save more than they can get out of an IRA or a SEP IRA or any of those other types of IRAs. And that's pretty clear, right? The solo 401k or a 401k allows you to put a lot more in. But like, how does this work, right? Well, how much should I be saving or why should I be saving? And I think the best illustration, maybe Matt would disagree, he has much better illustrations than I generally do, but I like to use the snowball picture, right? And this is all about just showing how by starting with a small amount that your money through compound interest will become more and more over time. In this specific example, I'm saying we have somebody who's starting with about $400 a month. Maybe, so that comes out to about $5,000 a year. Let's say if we're using the rule of thumb that most people should be saving 10% of their gross income, this person's making about $50,000 a year. If they contribute $400 a month or $5,000 a year, if we have a compound growth rate on those monies through investments in mutual funds within the solo 401k or an IRA, that money at a 10% growth rate should be doubling for them every 7 years. That's how quickly money doubles, right? If you're getting a 10% rate of return, your money is technically doubling every 7.2 years. So we start with $5,000. In 7 years, that money will double one time for us, become $10,000. 7 years after that, it will double again and become $20,000. And 7 years after that, it will be $40,000. So this example kind of speaks to me, right? Let's say I was just starting to save today and I'm 45 and I'm expecting to get a 10% rate of return and I want to save $5,000 per year. I'll save that. And when I reach retirement at age 65, 67, depends what I want to do with Social Security, I will have $40,000 to supplement the Social Security I'll be receiving. This isn't a lump sum, right? This isn't all I'm going to have in retirement because I'm not going to stop saving $5,000 a year when I'm 45. I'm going to do it again when I'm 46. I'm going to do it again when I'm 47. And every single year I save $5,000. If I have 3 compounding periods, I'll be have another distribution in the future, cash flow of $40,000 that will be supplementing what I'm getting through Social Security. Also, what this points out, to have any kind of age discrimination here, but it's all about time, right? Everyone always says start early and start as much as you can. And that's because every compounding period we wait, we essentially have to save more, right? If we don't start when we're 35, we have to put $5,000 in a year when we're 45. If we don't start when we're 45, we probably have to put something closer to $10,000 in a year when we're 55 because we don't have as many saving periods. For every compounding period we're missing out on, if we want to have the same amount of money per year in retirement, we're going to have to double how much we save. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think it really highlights, because I know we always get the questions is how much do I save? My income fluctuates, especially from a designer's perspective and a business owner's perspective, income goes up and down. But I think what your message is start. You got to start at some point. And the earlier you start from 35 to 45, 45 to 55, doesn't make a difference. You just got to start.
Yeah, exactly. It's the rule of thumb people throw out is 10% of gross income, right? And that might seem hard to a lot of us, especially because that's such a big number. But that's kind of what it comes down to. But everybody's situation's different. We have retirement calculators available on the website for people to calculate exactly how much they should be saving based on what they need. But it's all about how many compounding periods do you want? And what do you want this to add to your Social Security when you start taking it at anywhere between 63 and 67?
Great.
I think we could probably jump to the last slide. I think compound interest kind of speaks for itself there. All right. Market corrections. So what we're looking at here is market corrections going all the way back to the 50s. The gray mountains are bull markets where the market's going up every year. The little red brownish valleys are the bear markets, market corrections, where the stock market has gone down more than 20%. And all I want people to see here is this has happened as long as any of us have been saving. If you divide this out, we will see on average 1 out of every 6 to 7 years, we have a market correction. And that's a period of time where 401k values, IRA values, the stock market itself goes down by more than 20%. But every single time we've come back out of those corrections and we've reached new highs. Right now, there might be a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, worried about everything they're reading on the news every day, afraid to start now because maybe their money will go down in value. Unfortunately, those same people have probably been thinking the same thing for the last 4 years. Well, the market's up 100% in the last 4 years. That means if you would have actually started in saving instead of just being concerned about what was going on in the world, even though there's going to be corrections, 4 years ago, you would have doubled your money already. So there's not a perfect time to start saving. Nobody is smart enough to tell you when we're at the bottom of these bull markets or when we're at the top and we should be pulling back our allocations. But we just need to understand they happen. And every time they've happened, we've come back out the other side. And it's all about how much we save and when we start saving. So it's just about
So we
saving.
do have a question that's coming up, which is actually it's perfect timing because it's going to kind of go into some moderated questions. So can you spend a second on kind of creating the portfolios and like what am I investing into is really the question. Is because you're showing the S&P 500 here, so you have the big swings and the big losses. But how does someone create a portfolio so that they don't, if their risk tolerance doesn't want to have these extremes, what's offered inside the plan to be able to do that?
Yeah, so we start with the risk tolerance questionnaire with anyone wanting to work with us to set up a solo 401k or a 401k. And what that means is we're trying to figure out what you would do during different environments, right? Like if the market went down 20%, what would you do? What would you take over something else? If we offered you a risk-free 5% rate of return or a 12% rate of return with the likelihood it could be down 6 in 1 year or up 18%, what would you take? And we take you through a whole series of questions like that. And what that will determine is what your risk tolerance is and what type of portfolio you should be in. If you're aggressive, you'll probably be in something that could have higher earnings potential, but some volatility, periods where it looks down like the market is here. But if you tend to be a little bit more conservative, you'll probably be in a more moderate portfolio, meaning you won't have 100% stock, domestic, international equity mutual funds. you might have something like 60% of the portfolio like that, and the other 40% of the portfolio would be bonds, fixed income, and cash. That way, you're taking away about 40% of that volatility. So when the market goes down 20%, maybe you only go down 10%, right? And hopefully that will stop us from, as investors or you as potential clients, making rash decisions like pulling completely out of the market.
Right. So let's talk just a second about just 401ks, retirement plans in general. So if I'm a solo practitioner right now and I set up the solo K because I like the additional deferral limits, what happens if I add an employee? You know, when I hire my first employee, what's next for me if I can only do this as a solo?
Well, let's go to the next slide because we talk about that briefly there.
Okay.
Um, and I think there was one more slide where it showed here we go. So
Yep.
within the ASID member retirement plan program, we do have both options, right? We have the plans for the sole practitioner or sole practitioner and a wife. You can have a spouse in a solo 401k. You can both get those $80,000 contribution limits, by the way. But we also have programs for employers. And this is people who have W-2 employees who are not a spouse that work underneath them. Some of the great things about that is we have a bunch of credits and program partners that give ASID members discounts for setting up group 401k plans. Additionally, IRS, as of Secure 2.0, which came out in 2022, has a ton of tax credits right now. So really, for the first time ever, there's a lot of free money available to help with setting up a group 401k program. But that's exactly what you would need to do, and we can help with those as well. 401ks, once you have employees, are a little bit more complex. There's some testing involved. The costs do go up from if you're just yourself investing in an IRA or a solo 401k, but they are a great employee benefit, right? They help with retention, they help with recruitment when people ask, do you have a 401k? And we have really good solutions for those as well.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's spend a couple of minutes. I think, Matt, it's on the next slide, is that we're gonna show people kind of how to take the next step. So under the ASID site, you can see the link that's up here. We do have content which highlights just about everything that we're going through right now. But more importantly is we have contact information. So on that site that you'll be linking into, you'll see up on the top right-hand corner that there's an opportunity to schedule a webinar. Once you click into that, then you have the opportunity. You can get a one-on-one consultation with either myself, it could be Brandon, where we're going to talk through these different programs to see how they're going to be customized and tailored to you. Because we are finding that, especially in today's labor market, having a benefit program that allows you to be flexible, specifically when you're starting off in a solo practitioner, it allows you to expand when you have employees. But also, spending a minute on that is that it allows you to say that you do have a retirement plan when you are going through your recruiting process. And we're finding that it really does help with recruiting and retention of employees. And if you really kind of think about the entire encapsulation of the benefits and the member benefits that ASID is offering, they're really creating an ecosystem for you that you can, as a single employer, as a company of 5, that you can compete with an agency down the road that has 100 employees. And so from a retention perspective, and a recruiting perspective, these are very valuable benefits. So taking the next step is you're going to want to make sure that you get in front of us. You can kind of talk through it so you can learn. And with that, Matt, I will turn it over to you to close us out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Brandon and Peter. And that's always the big thing here. We know this can be daunting. We know that this can be intimidating. You're making big decisions that are, potentially a few decades down the road for you. But the important piece here is you got to start early, or, and even if you're catching up, they can help you navigate these options. That's why we, have Arcwood Financial as a trusted partner within this. And I think look at this as recruitment, look at this of getting talent, look at this as also taking care of yourself. That's a really important piece in the equation here for you as a business owner or a business leader as well. And that's why we do all of this for it. I think, Peter, you really said it best. We're trying to create an ecosystem of that. That actually leads us into this next section of that's why we have Design Business by ASID. because we really want you to take advantage of all these resources. And this is to help you start, build, and sustain a healthy practice. Be sure to check out the website itself. It's asid.org/design-business. And within that, you can check out the rest of the programs that we have within this ecosystem. So we have the health insurance program that's also through Arcwood Benefits Consulting. We have the professional liability insurance with options for you for interior design practice, but also if you provide architecture or engineering services. We have the talent recruitment plan. So if you're looking at how to position your firm and how to recruit top talent, we can actually tier that based on our program partner there is able to tier a package for that based on what you're looking for and what resources you need. But then also your contracts. We make sure you really have your liability covered within that and have a strong contract for that relationship with that client, your client as well. And to help you navigate all of this, we just launched yesterday the Business Basics Checklist. Be sure to check this out. We developed this with the ASID Business Management Committee, our Design Business by ASID program partners, and headquarters staff expertise. This checklist goes beyond a basic download. It's a 45-page, it's big, working tool designed to help designers actually build, assess, and grow their businesses. So this is for if you're just starting out or doing a full business check-in. Checklist includes guided prompts, key considerations, and curated resources you can apply directly to your own business. Download at an additional discounted price through May 31st in honor of Small Business Month. We've got a lot coming up for you in May. And then finally, make sure you check out the rest of the Design by ASID resources. That includes everything you see here. So in addition to Design Business, we've got Design Careers, Connection, Finder, Learning, and Research, all by ASID to help you navigate everything you may need in your design career and within the interior design community itself. And with that, that concludes our member benefit program featuring the ASID member retirement plan. A big thanks to our partners at Arcwood, Brandon and Peter. We really appreciate your support, your candid conversations, and open dialogue with questions. The key thing for you here as attendees, be sure to schedule that appointment, navigate your options. They'll walk you through with where you're at and where you want to get to as well within your retirement plan goals. A recording from today's webinar will be available on the ASID YouTube channel, linked on our ASID website, and shared in Design Connection by ASID. And we will also have a survey sending out to you as attendees. We value your feedback. We look for that to help us improve these programs and improve future webinars. So thank you for joining us and hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Matt.